All right, hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy, and we are back with Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword. We are on part two of our current adventure, Iwdil raQpo. Bonus points if you have the translation, then feel free to drop that in the comments or in chat if you are watching live with us tonight.
I'm
We
sorry I don't speak cough syrup.
Majka. Before we get started with tonight's game, I just wanted to offer one quick shout out, as it's our first session of the month. A quick positive word to remind people to check out our good friend Mr. Azek Cord, both on Twitch, which for those in the archive, that'll be in the description of the video, and for their Overland Gamer podcast. Mr. Korg, anything special going on over there this next week?
This week we went through a tabletop role playing game for kids called No Thank You Evil, which was kind of fun. It's a very simplified Monty Cook system game that, it pretty much ages 5 and up can play it, or younger. This month we do have March Madness coming, so we're going to have some fun with some dice thrown challenges. So if you're interested in a combat Yahtzee style game, you definitely want to follow us at Overland Gamer the podcast. We're on Spotify, Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and a few others. So yeah.
Well, be sure to check them out when you get the chance or if you have the free time. I'm sure it'll be an enjoyable experience for all. But with nothing else for now, we are just going to get back into our last session. So, when last we left off with our crew, Theon, which has been spending most of the past month warping through the sector in order to get to their next job, had recently arrived in orbit of this very sort of dry, somewhat barren colony, uh, mostly known by its people as Zhukh Majkad, or simply Khad. This distant refueling port is interesting only to you because of the fact that there is a passenger that you've been dispatched to pick up. All those weeks ago on Zethlor, a Klingon had presented you the request to get a passenger as discreetly as possible, someone apparently of some sort of note, at least enough that they wanted it to be kept largely under wraps. So, your crew has arrived in orbit of this world, docked at a repair station, and forced pretty much to use their transporter while your own is in a bit of an iffy state. I believe last time we'd established there is a single working pad that could give you limited use for the personnel transporter.
Yeah, we got it. Barely working.
Yep. Thankfully, the orbiting station that you docked at has a working transporter facility and has allowed you access to the planet, which a large portion of the crew had gone to the surface when you decided upon this. On one team, there was Raldar, Azek Korg, Kelshaw, and the ship's recently hired quartermaster, Zional, who had gone to search for some parts. The other half of the crew was led by Tabak and included Woe and Koth, whose task was to locate the individual that they were sent to pick up. So far as this went, all of you came down with basically a biometric signature that you could easily link to the individual. While the engineer managed to discover uh, at least some parts that would give you marginal success, some backup relays, something that'll make sure the disruptors don't malfunction again, and I believe something to match with like the remaining parts for the transporter. You just managed to do well enough there. The captain was a bit more successful, or rather, Woe got to the success the quickest by scanning the passengers of the ship's, or rather the settlement's lone tavern. In particular, you managed to find the one person right away who you were looking for, a Hemhuch by the name of Drakir, a man who enjoys what pitiful drink there is on this planet and generally seems quick with his blade, but generally amiable around someone who's with the appropriate brazenness. So it was in this bar that the three of you, along with some other bar patrons, it was at that point that the three of you were basically enjoying a bit of the day with Drakir and the others when two other Klingons, Kohach, ridgeless Klingons who predominantly live on the settlement, and much like Tabak, had entered the facilities. They too were scanning for a Klingon, and it seems to be the very one you've been sent to pick up. They insisted on attempting to get a hold of him themselves, and when Tabak laid out the line basically that they should do otherwise, and when Drakir started to goad them repeatedly, they simply shouted out, "Defend yourself!" and drew knives to charge in. So, I think that we have a little bit of combat to resolve here, just because he had specifically requested it first. I'm going to set this up with Tabok's action. Regrettably, the player could not join us tonight, but he has left ample instructions, so we know what we are doing here. In any case, both of them try to make it around the table, drawing very vicious-looking serrated knives. The Klingon nearest Tabok, however, he may have acted knowing that there would be some risk to this, as Tabok had had his disruptor pulled from this whole time, hoping perhaps to close the distance before he was able to get off a shot. However, the assassin seems to have underestimated Tabok, for with the 2 successes he scored on his control and security task, the blast is leveled very easily and catches him right in his midsection. And
My God, he finally killed somebody.
he did.
Oh my gosh.
Balok Lestrange would learn well that Tabok is perhaps better suited to ranged attack. And I don't think that Tabok would be messing around, so I'm declaring this a lethal shot, which means I will take 1 point of threat. That disruptor blast will allow for that disruptor blast will just thoroughly gut the Kohach that tried to move around him, and he will fall back whole in his abdomen. The other Kohach, however, Woe, is moving quickly towards you, and as he notices his compatriot is down, he simply seems to be in a desperate rush, and I think at this point he's decided he will probably have to engage with you.
The mistake?
Yep. I think that he will go in for a melee attack. He'll be going in for a melee attack since he has the dagger drawn. I will ask you to give me a daring and security roll.
Okay.
And I am
Soon
going
as
to
I can get
spend 1 point of threat to increase your complication range, because you were still partly seated and this table is not very well fitting for you.
Okay. I was gonna say she flips it onto him, but why did it double roll? Please send one.
Oh dear.
Well,
Either
roll
way.
20 be like that sometimes.
Roll 20 do be like that sometimes.
Roll 20 do be like that. All right, so you roll a single success in either case. Let's see how the assassin does. He fails
Oh.
abjectly.
Okay. I'm gonna say Woe just simply stands up and the table slams into him. Like I don't think she even has to draw a weapon.
You stand and you do so where you angle your left leg to come first so as to basically hook the table and slightly send it overturning him towards him. I will allow for that. Um, or maybe not quite an overturn, but it's enough to scoot it. This fairly heavy metallic table that was likely surplus um, from the ship. I'm going to say, what is your security discipline? Whoa.
Let me look. I have 4 security.
Okay. I want you to, in the challenge dice section just below your task roller,
Okay.
I want you to input the number 6.
And then hit enter.
Yes. And then click on that button to roll it. Geez, with that much damage, it maybe would make sense just to say that you could have overturned the table. At the very least, with 6 points, and for that effect, I'm going to allow that to be intense. Would you? How kind would you like me to be, Woe?
Oh, you know what? Let's knock this man unconscious.
Okay.
May I set the scene? And also, since I have a little,
I will invite you to describe this. I will ask, are you're just going for unconscious? This is this isn't a lethal injury that you would like, correct?
this is not a lethal injury. No.
Okay. All right. So then, please describe to me how you knock over the table and inflict an injury upon this man.
She stands up suddenly, one hand underneath, and flips it to where it lands partially. I'm assuming he hits his head on the floor. It knocks him unconscious, and she looks down at him and says, "Heh, I guess you could say we tabled this discussion for now, huh?" And pats his unconscious little cheek, and then trips because I see I have a complication on this roll.
Oh no,
So I'm
that's
gonna say,
for a damage roll. That's actually not. The 0 doesn't count as a complication on damage.
you know what? I'm gonna have her trip and ruin her cool moment anyway because she doesn't deserve it.
Fair enough. Tavok's like, whoa, enough with the puns. There is, as the table, the way it comes down, it also manages to roll pretty heavily onto this man's ankle, and you hear a bit of a sickening crack as he manages to sprain his leg. He doesn't feel that pain as he is, as you say, knocked on the back of the head and wounds up falling unconscious. So, as a consequence, you have both assassins incapacitated now. There's a
Uh,
there's a moment of silence while Tabak is holstering his disruptor. The Klingon Dirkir looks to this and says, "You are very lucky I was still holding my drink. I would have had half a mind to come at you with a knife with that."
Jakir, if that is your real name, I want you to look and gaze upon what I have just done with the table. She picks up, like, the bench. What do you think I can do with this?
A part of me would very much like to see it as he pulls a diktak from his belt. Tabak turns and says, "Not now. Look, I understand I cannot order you around, but whoa, don't encourage him. We need to get him back to the ship alive, and then back to his destination, and be done with this. Agreed?"
Fine. You always gotta be such a killjoy. She sets the bench down. I would like to go and inspect the unconscious guy really quick, though, in case there's anything on him.
I will ask you for an insight and security, and I'm going to say this is a difficulty 2. Also, since there's been time between sessions, I am going to ask Azek, could you drop a couple points of momentum there? Joe was our momentum officer from last week.
Will
Ye-
sleight of hand work as a focus in this case, even though it's not really?
I mean, it's not necessary for you to use those skills, but you
I know,
could.
but you're giving me a harder time with that too. And
Sleight
I
of
am,
hand the momentum back.
yeah. So I'm just gonna try. Oh shit! Sorry. First one. First one. All right, I
The
bombed.
the double roll is an odd thing, but I will allow you that second roll there. Um,
No,
so,
that's cheating. Just go with the first one.
oh, very well. All right. Well, with one success, you don't make out that much. You see that the man probably had a disruptor in his belt, and you can also make out a fairly gnarly curved blade of some sort.
Hmm. Can I take the blade?
Yes, you may.
All right. She waves it in front of Tavak. Look! Look what I got! New blade!
I think both Tabak and Darkir are both going to inspect the dagger as you wave it about. Insight and security from Tabak. Once again, forcing him to use that security discipline he's not too fond of. And let's see how Darkir does with that. Darkir's not really paying it any mind. It just basically holding his mug and turning it over, just letting the remnants of the blood wine waterfall or trickle down into his mouth, some of it getting under his chin, before tossing the mug aside. Tabak, however, just outright grimaces. Oh, could we here? By Grethor, I don't know who you managed to piss off, but we need to get out of here. He'll pull up his wrist and press the comm device. Raldar, come in, Raldar. Do you copy?
This is Raldar. How can I help you, Captain?
Raldar, we need to get to the transporter pad as quickly as possible. Get your crew together, get whatever parts you might have found, and meet us at the transporter pad as quickly as you can.
Aye, aye, Captain. We have everything we need.
Glad you managed to do that part without complication. Keep your look alive. It seems like our passenger might have some other interested prying eyes, and with all this time we delayed with him, it seems like they caught up. But we think that we've neutralized the two that were actually on the planet, or at least that were here right away.
All right, good to know.
Stay alert, though. These two didn't just come from nowhere. With that, Tabak will cut out the comm line. All right, well, I think we've overstayed our welcome, or at least he has, so we'll make sure that he's manageable enough, and let's get back to the ship.
Whoa, walks over, grabs the nearest biggest bottle of blood wine she can, and saunters over to Dakir. How do you say his name?
Dakir.
Dirkir? Dirkir. Walks over to Dirkir and wiggles it in front of his face, going, "Come on now, let's go. Got you a present."
Oh, you always get me the best presents.
Oh no, I'm so thoughtful like that.
Yes, yes. Oh, my good old friend. I have completely forgotten your name.
I will by the time we get out of this door. So come on, Dorky, let's go.
The running gag is that Woe just constantly gets his name wrong.
I think Wo gets multiple people's names wrong.
Yep. Dakoth, we need to get out of here now.
I throw a couple of credits to the barkeep. Sorry for the mess, and follow Tabak out.
All right. So, as the four of you start making your way out of the bar. We cut back over to the main settlement on the path. By the time all of this has happened, or rather, Raldar, by the time that you had received the orders from Tabok, you and your group had actually brought what you thought was remotely salvageable for the definitely for the transporter path, maybe a little bit for the Yon's weapon systems. There wasn't much you could find. If memory serves, the rolls went okay, but not quite enough to give you everything that you wanted. But yeah, you are actually most of your way back to the settlement at this point. For the rest of you, you probably hear the barking or Tabok's angry barking of orders over the wrist communicator that Raldar has. Raldar, you are of course going to get full blast as usual. So anything that the four of you would be wanting to do along the way?
As we get closer towards the tavern, Azek would start veering off towards the tavern itself, but I'm assuming he'd run into the captain, who would order him, no, that way.
He hasn't quite gotten out by this. You are still finding yourself blissfully able to move about your own direction. If Raldar has something to say about that, that might be another story.
Grab two.
I,
Two blood.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that?
Grab two. If I see him start running towards the bar.
Along the way, I'll actually ask both of you, and really any of you who wish to roll, give me an insight and security roll.
It begins. Hazard awareness.
I think this
Yeah.
applies.
Yes.
Okay, so that is Raldar rolls there. Did I guess Zionol also rolls to no avail. Azek, did you want to hazard a go at it, or did you prefer to?
It was insight and security, right?
Correct. But in any case, Raldar, I'll say that Raldar's survival instincts are also quite good, and will net you back a point of momentum, because you notice that there are actually a good number of Koha that were not on the surface before, or do not have the bearing of locals. There are about a half dozen standing by the transporter pad, and a half dozen more starting to fan out along a route that will eventually start intersecting with the bar. Well, you guys are not precisely on the map here. Allow me to place you somewhere a little more accurately here. So let's say you would be coming from over in this corner over here. You can make out from where you are standing, what you are making out are figures that are much more in the foreground, and they are coming along this way. With that, I'm also going to say you take notice that several of them appear to have disruptor rifles and pistols out. Your military training automatically comes into play here.
It appears that there are a lot more than the captain thought.
Yes. So, as the four of you are moving along that same path, and you see this bunch starting to move in the general direction of the bar, is there anything that any of you would want to do? Or Raldar, I guess you have the first dibs to A, point it out, and B, if you want the crew to do anything here, then you could take some initiative as the one that notices.
I'm gonna try and quietly get in contact with Tabok.
I will allow that just as a free action to set up your wrist communicator.
Captain, I believe there are more unwanted guests and they're heading towards the bar.
More you say? How many more are we talking? if we can just sneak around, or perhaps make it through a little more easily. Wait, no, shut up, you! As you hear some loud, you hear a loud voice booming from that, and actually also not far in the distance, as Tabok steps outside. And alongside him, Dirkir is the next one out. Dakoth, I'll say, is flanking Tabok so as to, try to be good bodyguard. And, well, you can be whichever segment of that you want. Oh,
Holding hands with Drakir.
oh. My friend and I are leaving this rock. Raldar, from this distance, you can see the Kohach that are in the foreground just kind of stopping for a moment before starting to reach for their weapons in all different manner.
I think they know, Captain.
Glisha. Well, maybe we can calmly go out a back way and just. I'm going to. I think that the squad is going to try and engage him, and because it is a full squad of 6 here, that should be 4d20. Let me double check that. I'll just have a group of 3 try to take pot shots in Tabok's general direction right now. So let's see what they do.
Are they Klingons of knee?
God damn it. Shots immediately start whizzing by. And since Tabok is just kind of near the doorway, I will allow for the slightest bit of cover here to help him out. But let's see, that squad is going to get off a successful shot in his general direction. Let's see here. That will be, for whatever reason, disruptor pistol. A disruptor pistol and rifle rolled. I don't understand that. In any case, says one with the rifle was the one who was taking shot, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. Oof. Let's see what the very marginal bit of cover does for him. Yeah, Tabok is angrily going on about something when the air around him just basically is filled with green bolts, one of which catches him badly in the arm. Yeah, he's going to say, Raldar, we're under attack! Get to the bar! Ah! For those of you that are immediately by him, he's going to say, move back! Back to cover!
I kind of want her to grab both Chicker and Tabok like footballs under each arm and run into the thing and just leave what's his face to die.
You could definitely do that if you wish.
I would like to. That is
Okay.
what I would like to do.
I will ask you for, let's call this a fitness and security roll. Since you are trying to lift both of these Klingons here, let's go difficulty 3, fitness and security.
Dang it. Dang it. Boo.
Now
Captain, you put on too much weight. I can't carry you.
Oh, why are you trying? Oh, I don't want to know. Just everyone back in, as he kind of waves him off. Dirkir, for his part, has just completely escaped your grasp. These treacherous Batak could have at least announced themselves before firing off. Why don't you come in and face me with blades? No shortage of those, he says, pulling a Diktak around.
My God,
Yeah.
this man is my hero.
He's living his best life.
He really is.
Yeah.
Living his best life indeed.
Yeah. I think that, so technically we are now in a combat situation, and Woe has acted. If you would like, You may spend 2 momentum in order to keep the initiative, and someone else could have the opportunity to act.
I would like to do that and
Yeah,
make
let's do that.
Azek go.
Yes, Azek needs to do something
All right, so
besides crash the ship.
yes. Joe, go ahead and drop 2 points of momentum for me, please.
They are on the table.
Very good. I yes, I just looked. I just had to check out the reference there, and I'm on one hand, I don't know if it quite works for our 8 foot tall Gorn man, but on the other, I do like that. I could just imagine him squinting at times when Tabak is screaming orders at him.
I'm not paid enough.
All right. First, I'd like to know how far it is from where we are currently at to the bar. Where Azek is, anyway.
Let's see. So, you were certainly. Your group is closer to the bar relative to this bunch here. I think what I would say is that without having a precise sense of the distance, you could essentially sprint there with a good. Or if you conducted a sprint action, you could make it there in one go. Otherwise, think I'd call it like to move back would basically be a minor action in order to get into a position.
I'm gonna do a sprint action.
Okay.
So it'd be what, fitness and security, maybe?
If memory serves, and I'm going back through our player reference folder here. Let's see. Ground task. Sprint would be a difficulty 0 fitness and security roll.
All right.
Yeah. So that is one success there. So you are able to move with with an agility that, frankly, Raldar Zional, as Azek moves past you, you didn't know whether the old warrior still had it in him or not, but Azek manages to just barrel through and make it into the to the doorway of the bar.
Faster than I thought.
He'd probably tumble into the door, in through the door, if it was mildly open.
It is.
Then again, he
Go
is 20 pounds lighter than the average Klingon.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez. Well, would you like to do anything else with that? Create an advantage with like if he stumbles in maybe with his one good arm, he manages to hook Tabak or Dirkir and basically trip with them into the bar.
Well, since I don't know Dirkir, and we were going after parts, we weren't going after the person, I would probably make it look like I'm kind of nudging Tabak into a secure position, when in fact I'm just going in to have a drink because yeah.
It's like your shoulder kind of knocks him a bit further into place and more firmly in the doorway as Azek just barrels in for a drink. That was the one thing he wanted.
Gonna cross through the freaking nightmare city for a drink.
Yep.
I've got to remember to bring one back for Raldar. I can just see him running backwards with another beer for Raldar.
Oh my god.
Azek enters the bar and is out of combat for the moment. um, so with that whole process, Dirkir has unfortunately aggroed quite a bit of attention now. Um, they are not yet accepting his challenge for blades in favor of just shooting the bastard. So another 3 of them will. Uh, I'm actually debating. I think one of them will have a rifle and just try to take a shot. So one of them is going to get closer, scream some sort of incoherent obscenity from a distance, and then take a shot. It will go just a little high as Darkir just laughs and holds his abdomen as disruptor bolts go past. You you couldn't hit the broadside of a warship. If it were at this distance here, I I am a much smaller target, but I'm right here. I don't have shields, and I don't object. But he'll hold his dagger up like as if waiting for them to come in so that he can slam it down on them, going for sort of an overhead strike with the blade in a reverse grip. Um, Come and get me! With that, they have taken their turn. How about the rest of you?
I'm picturing Tabak using his action to step out, grab Dakir, and pull him in, but that's up to you.
I think I would have him do that. And I might even. Let me go into Tabak's sheet here. Ah, I've got a perfect one. So we'll make this. I'm going to have Tabak attempt to grapple Dirk here with a daring. Well, let's see. So that'd be daring and security. But I will tap a value to give him an automatic critical success in this. And if you guys don't object, I will also spend a point of momentum for Tabak here. Sound fair?
Yep.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Okay.
Just fine.
The value, for all those in the audience curious, I will die, but I will not die stupidly.
Stupid just ran past me into the bar.
So let's see what Tabak can do here. So that is 1 success plus the automatic crit. What about Dirk here? This is not bladed combat here, so he actually doesn't have the advantage or doesn't have anything else. So Tabak will actually succeed a melee check. It took his determination to do it, but that still gets you back the 2 successes, and Tabak is starting to, as Tabak starts to, basically go for a full Nelson and, drag him back, with Darkir flailing his arms. You aren't worth anything to me if you are dead. And we go in this way, the more likely to fight melee. Ugh. Drakir continues to protest, but Tabak will manage to drag him back inside, and you do earn 2 points of momentum back. So Tabak and Drakir are inside and out of combat for the time being. The turn goes back to you. Raldar, Zionel, Dakoth, or Kelshaw may act. Would any of you, first, as far as, I guess, question would go, what was already acted so far? Raldar, would you want to do anything? Or Zionel, since Rev, you're playing him, would you either of you aim to do anything right now.
I will defer to our primary character.
Uh, Raldar is observing the beginnings of combat that have taken place, and Azek has obviously just booked it for the bar. Um, is there anything that you would want to do right now?
Well, I guess we're all meeting up at the bar.
It's a fair proposition.
So I will also sprint for the bar then.
Okay. This will be a difficulty 0 fitness and security roll. And just to add the threat that I hope is not in your real life, I am going to spend 1 point of threat to increase your complication range on this task.
All right.
You are a big chonky boy making a run. That is an easier target. But
Yes.
that doesn't matter because with those 2 successes on the board, you manage to easily bypass the fight and just roll on past the or roll on under fire. As a former officer in the Imperial Fleet, you undoubtedly had at least the training and discipline to know like decent times to run through a firefight. Had the good knowledge to keep your head down. Sufficient training to avoid those hazards. So, Raldar, you make your way to the bar. I presume are you entering the bar itself, or are you just sort of like camping in the doorway for a moment?
I will get into the bar. I am big.
Okay, so Raldar makes his run over uh, to the bar and then enters through the doorway, so he is out of the combat now. Uh, since one of the Klingons, since Dirkir is presently out, and no one has given fire or given an effort to fire at this point, one of the other Klingons is going to start closing the distance themselves. They move to maybe let's say an intermediate range as they start closing the distance, calling out indistinctly to their crew. He has a disruptor pistol in one hand and a mek'leth in the other. Um, and I think first he'll actually level the disruptor in your direction, Dekoth. Um, Nokne! Are you with the are you with that patach?
I'm not sure which Patak you're talking about. I am protecting my captain. Why did you fire on us?
Oh, don't play games with me. Dekoth, this man doesn't seem to be the most steady necessarily. Oh, he's with the one that pulled the other one. You're a threat. He's going to level and take a shot in your direction. Let's see. Give it a roll here. The hand that holds this disruptor pistol is not steady, and with only a single success, the shot goes, frankly, a little too close for comfort, but still whizzes just over your shoulder, such that you can feel the heat cook your flesh a little bit as it passes by.
Looks like the only danger here is your crappy shooting. Where'd you learn to shoot? Tatooine?
What? He just seems kind of utterly puzzled. Um, your universe crossing does the man no mental damage, and Or
It
well,
was a
that
good try. It was a good try.
yeah,
Can I shoot back?
you may
Uh,
control and security
we
if
are
you wish
using
to.
my disruptor pistol.
Yep. I believe Woe took the rifle from you and gave you a spear, so you do have a pistol on you at least.
Haha!
And
Nice.
3 successes. Yeah, you managed to land a pretty square shot in this gentleman. You may roll damage. I will ask before you do, is this a lethal or non-lethal shot that you are aiming?
He tried to kill the captain. Of course it's going to be lethal.
All right, I will take a point of threat and go ahead.
Oh God.
Oh, oh, well,
Bye.
Is that good?
that is, with bearing in mind that Vicious 1 is in play, that is 10 points of damage. I'm pretty sure you just vaporized him.
What is with this crew and just vaporizing people?
We're
There's
doing
no
good.
reason for this.
It's winning.
How else do we let them know we won? The
And
close cast it.
as his ash floats to the ground, I'll address the other ones. If you would so kindly drop your weapons, we can join each other for a drink and talk about our disgruntles, or you can join your friend, your piss poor shot of a friend there.
The comment floats over, and with your very open challenge, one of them pulls out a pistol. They are at long enough range that this is going to be more difficult, but I'm spending a point of threat to buy them an additional die here. Oh dear. Uh,
Oh, that's gonna hit.
let's see.
That's gonna deal damage.
That was a lethal shot, which drops
We
another
have the
point of threat.
momentum.
Yep. So, though I did actually earn back that point of threat because I scored 3 successes on that roll. Let's see. Bearing in mind, I think that we have. I think after your last shot, there's like 1 point of momentum that's floating right at this moment.
Mhm.
Dekoth has technically or is about to receive enough damage for that to be considered a lethal injury. Would you want to either buy that off with momentum or a point of determination?
At this point, he's our best shot, so I think we're gonna buy it off. How much momentum do we need to spend?
So that'll be 2 points of momentum that would go into
So
that.
just one out of the pool, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can take back one of those, or if you.
There you go.
Very good. Yep. So Dekoth, you realize that one of them did not take to your challenge and just managed to kind of dodge the, or like you back up just very slightly, such that the blast does not catch you perfectly in your midsection. Um, and you are lucky that that it turns out to be more of a glancing blow. Nonetheless, this was a very serious charged round, and I, you know, this was enough to actually like considerably singe and I don't know. It just outright basically gave you third-degree burns across your chest. Like there's a missing bit of tunic that you have now, where that blast crossed by, and just immense pain from considerable burns as the trailing edge of this bolt still catches you. But you
That's
at
what,
least
6 points of fatigue?
yes, that is 6 points of stress dealt to you there.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that, Kelshaw or Zional may still act. Rev, I will leave it to you here since Zional is your character.
Xylol would do what any self-respecting businessman would do in the middle of a firefight and try to hide.
Very good. Let's see. This, I think, would... I am trying to remember because I've done stealth rolls in the past, but now it has been so long since...
Is it control or daring?
I think that
I feel like it's
daring
one of the
is a
two.
little more appropriate in this situation. Um, so I
This
will...
is good.
Yes, I will ask you for daring and security in this case. And I will, I think that I'm actually going to borrow a little bit from this, or rather from a sort of similar task, borrow from essentially the formula with a signal jamming task, where the idea is because you are trying to interfere with detection, or in this case, sending a signal out, the player is allowed to set the difficulty, and if they succeed, then it will require that difficulty in order to find them, basically.
Interesting.
Yes. There is, of course, a good full pool of momentum there, if you wish.
May I spend a point of momentum for an additional die?
Feel free.
Excellent. Do I have to state the what I'm shooting for before I roll?
Since
Or
this is more a house rule type thing, I will just allow you to roll here, and we can go off of that.
cool. Equipment requisition is a good focus to use here, right?
That is certainly a nice try, but
Okay, what about, hear me out, assassination?
ooh. Well, an assassin does need to know how to hide fairly well, so I will allow you to use those inclinations to help you out here.
Cool.
Oh,
That's not good. I've seen better rolls.
no. You go towards the nearest shed, basically, which is a little ways back, and a hideout behind that. It occurs to you pretty quickly that this is not going to suit you for long, but perhaps if they are distracted enough, then that might give you at least you might be able to escape further. But you're right now, their attention is much more focused on Dakoth and to a lesser extent, Woe.
This is, in fact, my goal, so I will take this win.
Yep. Just because Kelshaw has not yet acted, I'll give her a roll here just to have her join up with the rest of you. So let's see, that would be the difficulty 1, fitness and security. She's going to make her roll, and yes, she will clear that distance, be able to make it there. I think, let's see here. I'm not sure if the momentum pool is correct actually at the moment. Did we drop the one after the last time?
No, it should be down to 4.
Okay. In that case, well, you can pick that one back up because it's with Kelshaw's 2 successes, she is going to make it back there, and you will just get 1 back. But yes, so Kelshaw enters and is able to make it in without issue. Woe, you and Dakoth are the only 2 out there, and I think that the turn order, I'm just going to say it resets now, and you have the initiative to start out with.
So does Woe's got grenades on her, right? Like I took the grenade set, right? Please God say I did that.
I believe that
You did.
Tabak at least have grenades, and Woe, I wouldn't be surprised if she were festooned with grenades as well.
All right, let's chuck some grenades. I think that would be in our best interest.
It would be fun.
Grenades are Grenades are quite fun. Grenades are hilarious. Okay.
How
So,
long before the GM regrets giving us grenades? That's the real question.
Oh,
oh,
I mean, I think he did it as he was saying it, when he first introduced the concept. But,
yes.
too late now.
Okay, so
Uh,
as a ranged attack, this will be control and security. Let's see. The first, you will have to use the charge minor action just to prime them.
is that what I'm doing now?
Yeah,
Priming them?
basically, for a minor action, you can declare that before you do that. Minor actions are things like aiming with your weapon, or if you had like a phaser, then charging that so that you could gain some benefit from it.
Okay.
It's something small that you can say you do before you take your proper action.
Okay. So I guess I don't know if these grenades need charging, but uh, she knows where Zionel is, right? Like she's not gonna kill Zionel on accident.
Zionol is far enough away and out of sight of this bunch here that they are. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Um.
going to say
Okay.
these guys are just at the very edge of your throwing range, and this is accounting for uh, their relative distance and like also Woe's considerable height as a 9 foot tall Kzin
Okay.
and corresponding wingspan.
All right. So do I need to roll 1 die or 2 for this charge
For
roll?
this is a well, no. To charge is just the minor action. You just declare I charge it, and then you throw the grenade, and
Okay.
like you do the task to perform to
Okay.
the throw. So the
Everybody get down. Except for you fuckers, and she, I guess, starts to lob it.
okay, this will be control and security with a difficulty of 2. I will ask, are you aiming for the group of 3 that were on the right
Y-
or the 2 that are on the left?
I'd say the 3. Gonna go for the big numbers.
Okay.
Hey! Hey!
All right. So you send that grenade out and it manages to fly true. With the relative time that it takes to get there, it very nearly it cooks off maybe just almost a little too soon, but manages to explode while airborne. So you get a neat little air bursting effect. Let's see. Refresh my memory. Did I put the grenades in your sheet proper? If not, I can add those very quickly. I don't see them. I'm momentarily changing the spear into a grenade, which is in itself a horrifying thought. Let's see here. So, grenade would be. Okay.
Real basement gaming.
You moved down there now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm at least glad you are presently out of harm's way, and hope that persists. Okay. So let's see. Wait a minute. Let me just check one more thing on that for you, Woe. Before you roll damage, I have made one small error there. Okay. And it's more properly a pulse grenade. All right, Woe, you should see the pulse grenade option there. You may roll damage for that. And that is 5 points, with 4 of those being effects for area. So that grenade is going to catch the first of these people and just um, as the explosion goes off, it's going to send them hurtling backwards, and they are going to be like knocked against a bit of a rock wall here. Since I did not ask you to declare that, I'm just going to say that this was an indirect injury and thus like non-lethal.
Perfect.
That way you don't have to worry about the threat there. The other two are also going to take some stress from that. They will each take 4 points, thanks to the area effect.
Yes.
So they are. This one is going to be momentarily out of action, and one of his compatriots is going over to him. The last one will attempt to level a disruptor in your direction and, with a rifle, try to take aim at you, Woe. So that'll be another control and security roll. The difficulty of 2. Oh no. Well, they succeed, but they have managed to score a complication with one roll. They managed a 1 and a 20 on that, which for those unfamiliar with Star Trek Adventures, a 20 would be because it's a 2d20 system, a 20 is considered a critical fail. You always want to roll lower so that you can hit a target number. And 1 is a critical success. In this case, with the 1 and 20, they should in principle be able to hit you, Woe, but I'm going to open it up to the players here. What complication could logically arise out of this attack?
Simultaneous heart attacks. They all fall dead.
No. Uh.
Anyone at all? Anyone?
I love how we're not even going to acknowledge that. Jesus, what would happen? I don't know what would, other than her getting really angry and just charging across the place to kill them, well, hurt them. But I don't think that's gonna work here. So
Well, I suppose I could offer up some ideas if you would like that I could try pitching to them. If
oh,
anyone else wants to jump in too, then
maybe that overhead. Are they next to like a cliff face?
they're kind of on a bit of a ridge.
Hmm. So you wouldn't say that grenade like dislodged some loose rock and they're further blasting had that fall on them a little bit. I don't know.
Oh, I see. Like they're the shade that they are in, like basically saying some rock comes tumbling down their way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's there isn't like precisely cliff there, but there are the bone-like rock structures that just lace through most of the surface. I could very easily say that something was dislodged and throws off the shot, or even more implausibly grants you cover. I think that's as on a scale of like the disruptor just cutting out to simultaneous heart attacks. I think that's on the middle of the scale, and that's probably the limit. That's the line there.
Yeah. I think that's as good as it's gonna get.
Okay. Um, so yeah, secondary impact of the grenade, or of the successful strike with the grenade. A bit of rock falls down and kind of knocks them. Like some of it just knocks into the bunch of them, and it's not enough to do them any serious harm, but it does lead them to stumble slightly, and they hit yet another bit of the interwoven bits of stone or whatever substances are around this surface that gives it a veritable boneyard type aesthetic, allowing the blast to be mostly caught by that. It winds up sending basically a spray of the fine dust like substance up. So it's not really accurate to say this place has like dirt particles so much as like it would be more rather, it's not so much grains of dirt as it is fines. That is to say, everything is so much smoother and smaller that like it gets kicked up and it feels like this stuff could easily just get into your clothes, your lungs, your equipment, just all sorts of nasty stuff if you're the more time you're here. Outside, anyway. Um, but yeah, with that, I think Tabok's going to call over. Oh, You, you and the cough, we should get back in here.
Okay, okay, Ken. She grabs Jakoth by the collar and drags him in.
All right. So with that, the as you say that, or as you hear him say that, and maybe think he's overreacting at least a little bit given how much you have the situation in hand, you notice that there are at least a dozen more Koha coming around, and they are starting to spread out in basically uh, like what would almost be a formation to encircle this. They are not nearly as ordered, but they definitely have the force.
Oh God. Woe doesn't have a communication device, does she?
I would expect that she'd have been given something at this point. I don't know whether if she necessarily remembers to keep it on her or anything of the sort.
Oh
And she was
God.
hanging with the captain here, so it really could have just been Tabok calling out from inside the bar because he's, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't worried about the captain yelling at me. He does that all the time. No, I need to contact Recur and tell him to get his ass on fixing that transport because we are trapped.
So, grabbing the scruff of Dekoth's collar as I don't know, Dekoth, any parting words, any emotional damage you want to leave these Koha with?
No, I got to make sure the captain's okay.
Fair enough. So
Kiss her ass.
the two of you back up and manage to get back into the bar. All the while, Zional, you manage to break off from the main pack, and I will allow you at this point, since they are more trained on the bar, if you would like to say that you freely move about from the shack, then I will give you that opportunity.
Yeah, I'd like to find a better, more hidden advantage where, like, I can keep an eye on what's going on, but not.
Not like so far away as to be like
Yeah,
completely out of the loop.
yeah.
That
I do
should be.
not want to head toward the bar, that's for sure.
Yep.
I don't want to head into the bar.
Well, we can make that work. I guess I will not force you to roll here. Though I suppose I would invite if you would like to create the advantage, that would probably make the most sense for you because then
Yeah.
we can allow you to craft something with the momentum spend. Um, for the 2 momentum to create an advantage, I would be willing to say that there would easily be like some sort of like I think that the most sensible options would be one of the basically climbing up one of the sort of overhanging bone or gigantic bone-like stone structures that are around. Something that nobody would think to quite climb up, but could give you a good vantage point.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's a good plan. I like it.
Okay, I will then ask Joe if you could go ahead and drop 2 of those momentum for us, please.
Sure can.
All right. And then Zional, you quickly make your way back from away from the shed, and your eyes, with the thankful addition of the visors that you have, or basically the sunglass type goggles, helping to filter out the considerable, at least relative to your experience, the considerable light that runs through this planet, that is on this planet. You manage to spot out a path that, with a little bit of climbing, gets you up to a relatively shady position. One that you can use to um, also create, basically perch yourself into a place of very little, or where few prying eyes would see, that if anyone were to spot you, that could sustain quite a bit of fire. I'd say that, and you may note this for yourself, this will give you, depending on how vulnerable you choose to make yourself, or basically whether you're standing versus taking cover, it would give you between 2 and 4 challenge dice to help you out.
Nice. I will definitely be taking cover.
All right.
Taking full advantage of that cover.
So, as you...
And so what do I see from my vantage?
For that, I'll say give me one more insight and security roll, please. Okay. With that, I will just give you the full details in this case. With Woe and Dekoth off the battlefield, and you taking a position to survey it, you see that there is easily a pretty rapidly growing presence of this group of warriors that have assembled out. What the captain and other Klingons had called Kutwi or Chotwi. This band of warriors whose presence here seems to be without much in the way of at least immediately discernible logic to you. But the numbers are very quickly growing. I would say there's something on the order of, at least 20 or so that are immediately coming into view, with yet more popping from the transporter room, or rather the transporter hut, and coming down from the surface. They are moving in a pattern to steadily encircle the bar in a very loose, sort of staggered skirmishing line. Some even moving towards around the edges and sort of not exactly the foothills, but the ridges that are kind of around you. It is a good thing you had hidden, because it seems as though they would eventually have made it around near the shed. They all seem to be planning to stick by ground level. Amidst all of this going on here, you see that there is a considerable bit of shouting and noise coming from two of the figures that have came from the hut. One of them, a considerably taller gentleman, looks like much like the captain and the rest of them, a kohach. The other comes in a bit shorter relative to the rest. I'd say that, comparing the two individuals, one of them is about roughly the equivalent of 6'3", maybe 6'4". The other's closer to 5'4", maybe 5'5". But they seem
that's really short.
Yep, they seem to be giving the lion's share of the orders. So, as they start directing their men, we go back to the bar for a moment, where the everyone is starting to come in. I think that, or rather, people have made it in. Woe and Koth would be just at the edge of the bar, having just entered in. Tabak is presently getting a seat with a mug of blood wine. Azek, would I be correct to guess that you are already up by the up at the bar chatting the bartender?
Yes, probably 2 glasses in already.
Very good. Um, Raldar, what would you be doing right at this moment?
Is that like an upstairs or downstairs to the right?
That would be an upstairs.
All right. I'm gonna see if we can get in contact with our good old friends on the Yon.
Okay, I'll give you that that first there. So let's see. This should just be a control and engineering roll just to communicate with the ship. And let's call this a. This will be difficulty 0, but I'm spending 3 points of threat to increase your complication range.
Ooh.
I see. I see.
This is good. We need him to burn through this threat before the fight actually happens.
Okay, all right. Fair.
Is he not a generous GM?
He's very generous.
Okay, you do manage to succeed there. And
You said it was difficulty 0, right?
it was, so you actually do get a point of momentum back as well. All right, so let's see here. 1 back to you.
This is Raldar to the Yon. Does anybody read me?
Oh, hello, Rallard. And this is Ian. This is Volpry specifically.
Bopri, we're in a little trouble down here. Can you get someone onto the transporters and see if he can start getting us out?
Um, um, I, I do not know if that is. I will see if I can get Croker onto that. Kresik did not want me to disturb him while he was examining his patient.
Well, we might all be patients down here if you don't hurry up.
Okay. I'm sorry. I will. I will get back to work. I will get. I will get them. Do be advised. We do. There is another ship that has docked with the station. Uh, I stand by. I am. I do not think they're looking at the frequencies, but I am going to secure this line. Yes. Yes. Um,
Good.
uh, please stand by. So while Vopry goes off, and we can indeed enjoy a scene to catch up with the good doctor and Croker here in just a moment. I think everyone's curious about that.
We've all been waiting.
Yes. Whoa, in the meantime, what would you be doing now that you've just stepped in?
Oh, I don't like that everyone's so relaxed. Like,
Oh, not. I mean, the patrons at the bar are all starting to show a bit of anxiety as they've heard weapons fire. One is even like looking out the window now. Um, the bartender is probably the calmest among the non-crew of the Yon, but he's like eyeing everyone very suspiciously, particularly as Tabak is nursing some blood wine to help him with his disruptor wound.
My God. Okay. What are you all just sitting around for? Get up! Stop barricading the windows!
The old man
She's
nearest you.
talking to all the patrons.
Yep. Look, Farason, I don't know who or what you are, but we have no part of your troubles. Fight your own battle.
He walks up to him and breathes down in her face. If you don't help me barricade this bar, I'm gonna be your problem.
Go for an intimidation roll.
Yeah.
Very well. Let's see. So that'll be, I think, command and control from this gentleman against your. I think presence and security would make the most sense.
Okay.
These you tie up, but the initiative does go to you in this case. So, or like, since you are taking initiative, the tie goes to the person taking initiative here. Uh, he backs up a little bit, and just says, I don't know what. Well, I will assist you here, but I I do not care for what you quarrelsome ramblers getting us involved in your. Oh, he just walks to the bunch and starts trying to like coordinate with them a little bit. There's definitely a bit of chatter. They don't seem particularly happy being drafted into this process.
I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm so sorry.
That's quite all right.
We'll say the tension bleeds out of her frame because she doesn't actually have to resort to violence again, and just starts starts lifting the tables to move them to block the door, while they got the windows. I hope.
Okay. Dukir, for his part, attempts to liven the morale a little bit. Oh, no need to be so grim, everyone. We are just on the verge of glorious battle. Bartender, around for everyone.
Woe claps him on the back. Why don't you play bartender for a little bit? Help a fella out. I could definitely use some bloodline, couldn't you?
Yes, I'll go get the person that serves us the blood wine to serve some blood wine. That's his job. That's why the GM made him.
Yes, but I just overpowered the GM, so he's putting crates in front of windows.
You need a good table, though.
Ugh,
Very
my
quickly.
friend, never change. And she walks away to go keep doing what she was doing.
Yep. Let's see. I'll make the completion of that task be contingent upon rolls here. So let's wait before we move those tables. Let's see here. I guess before we check in on the ship here, Dekoff, is there anything that you would want to do while you are um, like while Woe is trying to get everything together? Are you checking on the captain? Or are you just would you want to aim to recover from your own injury here?
Recovering from my own injury and yeah, drinking some blood wine too. Making sure the captain's cup is always full.
Fair enough. I'm going to say that you can both go ahead and roll. perform a recover task. That's a difficulty 2, fitness and command roll. Actually, difficulty of 1 because you are technically out of combat here. So, just something to allow you to regain a bit of stress. Let's see here. So just rolling the captain here. Oh boy, fitness is other bad stat. This is why we have the blood wine. Okay, well, that'll be enough for both of you. So you managed to refill the pool of momentum. You have a floating one now. And let's see. With recover, the character takes a moment to ready themselves, regain their breath, clear their mind, and prepare for more fighting. Success means you. That's actually meant to gain resistance. I suppose on top of that, you can also spend, or rather, you can regain points of stress per momentum spent. So I'll tell you what, I will give you both a free one, and then if you would like to allow yourself some additional stress, then you can spend like that one floating momentum you earned.
How do we remove the stress off the thing? I click it and it doesn't do anything.
So if you're treating it as like something that you are filling in, then you can just click like the one immediately to the left of that, and it will like the way that this particular sheet works. Basically, it's something where going from left to right, it reflects an increased stress meter. So you click the one back in order to restore it.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure thing. So yeah. As you are all preparing yourselves for this, Tabak pulls the at least Woe, Raldar, and he'll call out to you too, Azek. Azek, get over here.
He kind of starts stumbling over with his blood wine.
All right. You just barely manage to avoid spilling a bit on Dirkir's boots as you pass by. A fellow Hemhush who you have not met prior to this, but he seems quite amiable and is immediately taking your place, chatting up the bartender. For those of you that are just getting to the bar, this would be the moment where you note there are already some corpses in here. Our passenger seems to have attracted more attention than I realized. Whoa, did you get a sense of what we're dealing with out there?
More of them were incoming, Captain. What was it? She kind of struggles to remember. I want to say it was like 12 more people were coming in. Well, people. Klingons. It doesn't look great. I don't see us with our limited amount of weapons as quite getting through more than half of them, Captain.
Oh. Gomshot, we're going to need to try and get out here quickly.
Dukoth kind of scoffs at the comment, and it will be a glorious battle, Captain. We will succeed.
Well, we could win the day, but that Patak whose brains are so thoroughly soaked in blood wine might try to get into the thick of that battle, and if he dies, then we might overcome them, but we would still fail our job, and only a fool fights in a burning house.
Azek says, "Oh, Captain, I didn't know you cared that much about me."
I didn't say I cared that much about you. Oh, tend to that wound of yours, and I suppose you don't have a change of clothes. Just going to have to live
Oh,
with that ugly
that was
burn.
Azek, not Dakoth.
Oh,
Oh,
Azek thought the captain was talking about our target. Azek
ah,
thought he was talking about him.
okay. Roll it back a little bit. Not you, you mindless topa. I'm referring to that hemhoch. The drunk one over there. Surely you haven't had that much of a chance to. Azek, I need you sober.
I can still fight just fine. I can still pilot the ship just fine. And I
Azek,
you
start.
hear it.
He kind of drifts off in thought, and then starts humming like some sea shanty type song of the Klingon
Azek,
variety.
Azek, give me your keys. I don't want to hear it. Give me your keys. Just general sort of tone in that direction, but Taybox just, I'm surrounded by idiots. He'll pinch the bridge of his nose. In any case, we need to get in touch with the ship at this point, and on a secure line if possible.
Question: would Zionol have a communicator?
Zionol probably does have a communicator.
Cool.
Also,
I'm going. Go ahead. Yeah.
okay. I wasn't sure if Raldar is away, but he already has the comm line there at the very least. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, you can go ahead and or go ahead, Zionol.
Zionol to whoever made it into the bar. Can you read?
Tabak will curiously push his button as he looks around. Zionol, why aren't you in here? Where are you?
I'm elsewhere.
Well, that's not.
There's a lot of people surrounding that building you all are at, and I thought it best not to be in the way.
He'll look as if he's pondering the idea of throwing an insult, which or some snide comment, but he'll think the better of it. For you, Zional, it just registers as a pause.
Listen, I have a vantage of what's going on at least, so I can be your eyes if needed.
Very well.
I'll let you know if they start getting ready to blow open that whole bar.
All right. Once we get we'll get a hold of the ship and start beaming out. Keep a close eye on them. Stay hidden if you need to, and um, well, we may get you out last given your position, but we will do so as soon as we have our target safely up and have things arranged.
Of course, Captain.
All right, Tabak out. Uh, so, where was I? We'll need to keep this place fortified until the bar is set up. Speaking of, let me try to get hold of the ship here. Oh, Tabak clutches his arm a little bit and instead goes for the bottle of blood wine. Um, as this is happening, running concurrently, I think that it's time to visit another undoubtedly very tense room and
Ah,
go down to sick bay. Kresik, how do you want to have Croker arranged? provided they were
sufficiently
pliant.
I would. I mean, I'm not gonna have him chained down to my operating table or anything. But
Pity.
really,
Never a moment wasted.
Spectacular. Do you want him in the proper main, surgical biobed, or is one of the secondary ones?
one of the secondary ones is fine. This is a preliminary examination.
Okay. So, then let us move on up to sick bay, where Kresik, you have Croker in your sick bay. I imagine you probably invited him to do the typical, sit at the end of the bed. I will leave it up to, I'll leave it up to Croker whether he decides to just take advantage of the situation and just lie down.
Mans is tired. Uh,
It's hard work being that petty all the time.
oh my god.
Spectacular. All right. So yeah, Kresik, you
Okay.
you have the hemhoch on the table, and you're starting to run run your scans, engage in the general chit chat.
Oh yeah, because I'm very well known for my bedside chit chat.
Yes, I mean it may just be Croker who is chit chatting with you right now.
And I've had this thing in my left eye that's just been killing me for months now. And I thought at first it was just the beauty of the captain, but now I'm not so sure.
A thing in your left eye. What sort of thing?
I just assumed at first, other than the captain's beauty, it might have been, Betty, but who can say for sure? Everything's so weird all the time.
Betty.
You know Betty. We've talked a great length of Betty before.
We've
My
never
good friend.
spoke until today. So no, I don't know who Betty is.
Of course we spoke. I fed you gruel that one time. We're teaching you your ABCs. We've spoke many of time. Your name's Dar, is it not?
No.
Okay, this is much more awkward. I feel like I should have told you all that stuff about my mother. Okay then. I'm gonna go now.
No, you're not. You are staying here until I figure out what that thing they told me was inside your head is.
He kind of fluffs up like a chicken would, I imagine, and and says, "That thing is my very good platonic friend, Betty."
Well, let's find out what exactly it is, just in case
Let's
it
see.
goes wrong.
Crocker blinks, and as he opens his eyes, the hologram projection of Betty comes out. Well, excuse me, I didn't think I was
Good
such a big to-do.
Heavens.
Now, we don't swear in this household, young man. That's not going to fly by me.
What?
What did you want, sweet thing?
I'd like to scan now. I'd like to roll to scan.
Reason and medicine, I suppose, would be appropriate.
Mm-hmm. One of my something would apply here. Paranormal phenomena.
It
This
would,
is
actually. Go
It's
for
pretty
it.
Oh, really?
paranormal.
Interesting. I was not expecting that.
Ah.
Cool. 3 successes. What
Yep.
do I know?
There appears to be, I think, there's an we decided the implant was in Croker's head somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Yep. There is an implant that appears to be activating in Croker's head. Um, you don't know who performed this surgery. You don't recognize the technique or technology that came with it. You're not certain whether it was precisely designed for this or how much of it is precise design versus jury rigging. But it does seem to be interacting with several parts of Croker's brain and ocular functions in order to sustain like synaptic function, managing it for both this and this Betty figure, while also using apparently lacing the supplementing the eyes with some sort of ocular projection implement here that is allowing the creation of a very soft light, translucent, or actually outright, I think, transparent, bluish tinged face, essentially. Uh, Memory serves, it's a full woman's face with the hair curlers around. Had we decided it was that, or like
It is only hair curlers early in the morning. The rest of the time, she is looking immaculate, just serving those 50s housewife vibes.
yep. Okay, so um, then very humanoid looking or a very humanoid looking feminine or female presenting face. Um, and it is interesting. There does seem to be a sufficient neural capacity or like neural activity to suggest something on the order of a different, unique set of brain patterns that are active.
Interesting. Risk of injury from this.
That is a very good question. If this implant were ever damaged, then um, you would expect that could do considerable damage to the brain. Then again, you're kind of surprised with this implant that it isn't already doing damage to Croker's brain.
I'm pretty sure it already has, honestly. Kresic has come to the conclusion that this thing has completely fried Croker's brain.
Oh, now that you're just being sweet now.
um, but yeah, you're not sure how much worse this can get, I suppose. Then
Seems to be a second base level intelligence in your head.
Second, I am number one in any capacity, sweetheart. Don't you forget it. This
So you
fool
are
behind me is
taking-
the one that's second.
You are taking control of their body.
Crooker, like, I don't know how to describe this, but let's just say her face stays in place and Crooker moves around like he's looking from behind someone. He's like, does this appear as if she has control over my body?
How long have you had this thing?
Oh, Betty, as far back as I can remember, she has always been there.
And how far back is that?
as you ask that question, the door opens to sickbay.
Not now.
Doctor, we have a problem.
Yes, we do. There is a low-grade intelligence implanted in this creature's skull.
Excuse me? I don't know if she can. Can I roll to see if Crooker can slap as Betty?
I tell you what, give me let's call this command and control. I will let you decide. Would you like to use the sheet to decide whether Croker is resisting the impulse to slap, or is Betty attempting to slap?
Betty is attempting to slap. Crooker would not be resisting, as he completely agrees with the slapping happening.
Okay, then just a daring security with a difficulty of 1. Kresic, you may contest if
I
you
can
wish.
oppose this, right?
Yes.
Fitness and security.
It would be daring and security.
But I have applied force, which allows me to use fitness in place of daring for melee.
Understood. That would work then. Okay.
Ah,
Yeah. Kresic, you're easily able to catch no-sell, whatever you prefer to do. What would you prefer to do in this case?
I'd like to think that he just kind of, as he's like gesturing about this low grade intelligence, his hand just happens to just like intercept the slap coming his way.
oh my god.
Uh, uh, Doctor, I do not wish to get in the way of the
You are
situation.
not in the way, Volpry.
But the crew is in trouble. There are armed people down surface surfaceward, and they have the crew is under fire. We need.
Why?
I don't know. They did not.
Every time, Volpry. Every time. Everywhere we go. Volpry, have you considered just leaving?
I do not know. The captain tells me he has given me freedom. I do not know where I would go, or that any other Klingon would honor it.
They would have to get through me. Fine.
Betty, who has just been standing there the whole time, completely enraged that her slap did not land. Well, as touching a moment as this is between you two, we've got work to do. Croker, come on! And she stomps out the door with Croker following, even though she has 0 legs.
Yep, the projection just moves on ahead to a certain point, and Croker starts walking to catch up.
We are not done here.
I say we're done, she calls over her knot shoulder.
Get out.
I'm already gone! She yells from down the hall.
Yep. So, with that, Vopry will go back up to the bridge, and I guess before the scene closes out, Doctor, is there anything that you would want Kresic to have said or done at this point in the solitude of sickbay?
You just see him just kind of slump forward a little bit. This ship. How many more? Need to get to the next patient. And he reaches down, grabs a hypo, injects it into himself. All right. Next patient. And heads over to the stasis tank to start rechecking on that.
So, while Kresic self-medicates and sees what he can do for other members of his crew, a short while later, Vopry attempts to signal again to the bridge line, or rather, down to the bar. Let's see, he is going to attempt one more control and calm, or he's going to attempt the roll this time in order to restore the calm line, and I am dropping one more point of threat. Just to reflect that there is increased complication with what he's doing. Oh, but nothing doing there, and I'm going to say, since we've had a couple scenes elapse there, those 2 successes just go to ensuring you have a full pool of momentum there. So, short time later. Mr. Aldar.
Yes, Pry.
This is Leon. Um, I was able to uh, convince the doctor to allow Croker back to the transporter pad.
Good. All right. Since we have to do it one at a time, we want to get our package up there as soon as possible.
Raldar, can the transporter sustain multiple beam outs at this point? Is it in sufficient state of repair to manage?
Look, as long as nothing bad happens, it'll be fine. There's at least one functioning pad in decent condition.
Why don't you keep jinxing it and we'll see how that goes.
Nothing
you have to
ever
say
goes
that?
wrong on the yacht. It's
Why
the
do you have to
perfect
say
ship.
that?
I worked very hard on it. Deter won't be turned inside out, alright?
Uh, you are, well, if you have confidence in it, then I'm going to trust you on that matter. Vopry, if it comes to it, though, you secure the hatch and, well, alert the doctor that the they may have it. There may be some untoward characters there. Were you saying? Did I hear right from comments that were exposited to me between the scenes that there's indeed another ship? Yeah, yes, Captain. You heard correctly. Yeah. It is a older bird of prey style vessel. I believe T-Yacht class. Uh, it's a slightly newer design from what the Yan is, but still probably an older bird of prey. Oh, at least if it came to it, we wouldn't be too outmatched on the surface. Or rather, in space, if it came to it. It said, oh, there's always a risk they're going to see transporters. A lot to do it anyway. Go ahead and attempt to bring up Dirk and we'll start getting people out one at a time. Okay. With that, he looks around. Well, with Dirk going up, that's. Let me think here. Presuming we can get them up, they might lose interest in us and try to move back towards the transporter area. So, well, I'm open a suggestion here. Those with a bit more experience on the battlefield. Should we try to pin them with fire? Maybe try to break the windows here and use them by some means to take a shot at them, or would it make more sense for us to just wait for them to try and group back up and then proceed towards the transporter pad and we just continue our beam out from here? I'm open to options, people.
I mean,
Dakoth is probably already at the window with his blaster ready to go, kind of sizing up what the enemy movements are.
Okay. Yeah, Dakoth, for your part, you would notice that there is continued efforts to basically um, spread out and encircle the bunch of you, or like the bar building, basically.
Do I notice any of them getting rather close to, like, looking in through the windows?
None of them are that close right now. I'd say that they've still got like at least a good. The closest they might get is somewhere in the order of like maybe 30 meters or something like that. Um, nobody's nobody's gotten to a range where they could like easily come up and like toss in a grenade or peek in through a window.
Okay. In that case, switching over to Azek. This is getting wildly confusing with two characters.
Yeah.
Um,
I can take over to Koth for you if you like.
okay. Azek is kind of staring at the blood wine, and he looks. Woe's still here, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Woe, how many more of those grenades do you have?
Well, I don't know. How many more grenades do I have?
You can use 3 in a scene, so I'm going to say that, like, if you go into combat again, then you would have like 3 in your bandolier ready to go.
All right.
Here's what I'm thinking. We offer, they're going to get thirsty, and we're going to, maybe we could work some kind of a deal where they unknowingly give us a little bit of time. So we offer them a thing of blood wine for them to enjoy. Somehow, with your brilliant cat-like stealth mind thing, we rig up one of the grenades inside one of the glasses, so when they pick it up, it triggers and makes a nice little distraction and possibly eliminates some of the enemy.
Ezek, you sound more drunk than I realized.
Yeah.
He
But
goes
the
back to
distraction
drinking his
angle
blood
is
wine.
not a bad idea. I like the timed grenade idea. I don't know if they're gonna get so thirsty that they'll just take blood wine from strangers who happen to have the target.
Yes, never look a gift target in the mouth.
Not too familiar with that saying, Captain.
I think Azek mentioned it the other day, only used a different animal. What was it you called it, Azek?
Horse?
Whatever that is.
Captain, I would be willing to go out unarmed and serve them the drinks if that is a distraction that could help you all get away.
Woe walks by. You're already unarmed.
Precisely. They wouldn't expect me to be carrying any kind of other weapons because I'm holding on to the tray.
It's just as likely that they'd just take a pot shot at you the moment you left the bar. Well, some degree of guile might be useful in this situation. I don't think.
Captain, is our target wanted alive or dead?
Well, for our job, they want him alive. Those Bataks I can't speak to. They were pretty willing to open fire on us, so I imagine that they don't have a terrible preference. I'm just surprised they'd risk vaporizing him.
Is that guy that I knocked out still in the bar?
Yes.
Let's go wake him up. Let's go get some answers.
Okay. So you walk over. Does anyone want to join Woe in her interaction here?
I'm dragging Azek with me, as I like Azek. I do not like the cough.
Fair enough.
Do I need to roll a fitness and command or something to not spill my drink?
Because Azek has been putting away a few, I will ask you to give me a fitness and medicine roll, and I think I'm going to push this up to a difficulty of 3.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, you do spill a bit of your drink at this point. The You really have probably enjoyed a little too much too fast. I'm honestly at this point wondering if Azek had been pre-gaming a little bit before the ship got in, and because at this point you're down from functional alcoholic to a little bit slap happy.
Oh no.
Yep, but
Woe's doing her thing. Azek's just leaning up against the wall and he's starting to doze off.
yep. Woe might have been thinking to play bad cop or good cop bad cop, but instead it's bad cop drunk cop.
I would pay to watch that.
Well,
Yes.
you get to watch and play it here for free right now. And for anyone in Twitch that is interested, you can always throw in a subscription either with Prime or you can drop bits. There are other ways. Pointless shelling because that's the thing. Really, I'm just here for you to enjoy the thing. So please enjoy. And let's do the thing here. Um, well, you drag the unconscious Kohach, uh, the assassin that you had effortlessly been able to knock back with the by use of the table, and whose ankle is undoubtedly broken.
What does Azek have anything left in his tankard?
Uh, yeah, he hasn't spilled everything, and he hasn't downed it yet, unless Azek is just going to pour the contents on his face.
I'm gonna grab that before he has the chance. Like, just right as he gets it to his lip, I take it, and I'm gonna pour it in the face of our knocked out friend here.
Azek, do you
Aw.
want to contest?
No, I just kind of whimper.
Wake up! Gives him a
The
little slap.
the Kohach starts to come around. Where? Oh, Hadebach.
Good morning, sunshine. There are quite a few little men outside dressed like you. I'd like to know why you're here.
Our business is our own. We have a job to do.
Oh, she presses down on his broken ankle.
Oh. He'll bear and grit his teeth in your direction.
Yeah, I can do that too. It's not particularly difficult, mate.
An unhonest assassin, how dishonorable.
Uh, our, our. He kind of just lapses for a moment. It matters not. When this day is done, some of us may be dead, but so will he. Gesturing over to Dirkir, who, once again, I cannot stress this enough, having the time of his life.
I mean, he better be, because it looks like it's about to run out. Okay. She pinches the bridge of her nose and then squats down on her haunches. Alright, you're here to kill him. What exactly is the point? Who are you working for?
I don't know who the boss says we're working for, but I am just a simple soldier of the Gorn Hechmor.
She looks to Raldar. You get that?
Yeah.
Raldar, give me a let's call this reason and either command or security.
I'll do security. Hazard awareness, because I'm trying to be aware of how dangerous he is.
I think that's a little too loose for my taste.
Damn it.
Um, you recognize enough Klingon to know that, I mean, it is your native language after all, that you could easily translate it to roughly either the fatal or the deadly company, or even company of death. Uh, by reputation, you don't necessarily know of these mercenaries, but it sounds undoubtedly like a group of hired guns, essentially.
Mercenaries.
Yuck.
Not inherently dishonorable.
She looks
We
at
shall.
Azek. Oh, sorry.
The rest, my life might be over, for I have no chance at honor or victory now, and certainly they will not pay me for this, but I can at least have satisfaction before my death of knowing that all of you that stood in the way met your end fittingly against the likes of Vegta, the Undying.
Now she turns to Azek. Anything to contribute here, Mr. Korg? He shakes his arm. Wake up!
What?
She
I
repeats
don't.
what you said. You just said something about the Undying.
The Undying. Things die and they stay dead. You call me the drunk one?
Captain! Come get rid of
What?
Azek. Help me out
I'm.
here. I don't know enough about you. Well, you know, she's trying. She's realizing her captain's a Klingon. This culture. I don't know enough about this culture.
Well, what do you need?
I don't understand the gibberish this one's spewing. He's a mercenary. He's excited we're all gonna die. He's stupid for thinking that's some kind of achievement in his death, but you know, whatever. They're here to
I.
kill that guy.
Well, that much was certain. They know, or do we know who hired them?
She stands on the dude's ankle again.
Oh, I know nothing there.
Hmm.
And yes, there have been a couple rolls going on in the background here.
I see those. I was eyeballing those. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm coughing so much.
You're fine.
Hmm. Does anyone have any questions to ask this dude?
I do, but none of my characters are there.
Yep. Yep. Although
I'm just gonna have her.
if you want to share anything above board, then
Which house hired you?
He already said he didn't know that.
Um. Woe stands up exasperated. Zynal, what can you see out there? Any distinguishing ship markings, anything?
What design I'll see? Anything new happening?
uh, yeah, the numbers, they appear to have topped off. It seems. Let me see here. Just checking my notes. So, wait a minute. Let's see. So yeah, Zionel, you have a pretty good vantage point from the surrounding area, um, and particularly on the Roll20 chat.
Remind me again how many of you there are in that bar.
Including civvies. Not very many. There's 5 of us. Right? There's only 5 of us. That's great.
Excellent. You're only outnumbered 6-1 then.
Oh! He
Yeah,
stands up
2
and
to
punches a
1.
wall.
It was 12 and
I-
it'd be 2 to 1.
I have eyes on who could be their leaders.
Any distinguishing features or markings?
There's a tall one, there's a short one.
Right. I'll relay that to Captain.
That's. I'm sorry, do you want me to get down there and ask them what their distinguishing features are?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Because I can. I mean, it would be much easier for me to just offer my services to them. Not that I would do that, of course.
No, of course not. Why would you ever do that? It's not like he'd hitch a ride with the scary person you saw. No, of course not.
No,
Uh,
never.
No, that doesn't sound like you. Have enough brain power for this. Okay. Ezek. She shakes him. I need your drunk specialties.
Well, all right, but we're gonna need a ship.
That's different specialty. Sorry, should have clarified. I don't need you crashing into things. I need you to go be a buddy to Dekir. Or Dekir. Or Dickier. Whatever his name is, go talk to him. Figure out why they want him.
I think that we can probably do that from the comfort of the ship, Tabok says. Speaking of,
Oh, yes.
well, he pauses before he punches the communicator. I'm going to regret this. Croker, do you copy? Respond, Croker.
Darling!
Oh,
I hear you, I don't
Look,
see you!
look.
Where are you?
I'm on the planet. Now listen very carefully. I need you.
You need me!
Don't. I need you to lock on to a particular life sign here. I'm feeding you exact biometric and positional data. They are very close to this comm badge here, or my communicator signal, so I'm sending you those coordinates now. Can you beam them up now?
Well, you don't have to ask me twice. And let's see if he can actually do that.
All right. So this is going to be control and engineering, um, assisted by the ship with structure and engineering. The difficulty on this task is going to be 3.
Oh, crap. Okay. Come on, Crooker. No!
Nah.
That
As
was real disappointing.
so
Oh,
Croker begins to immediately lock on to that signal, and the eagerness starts engaging the transporter. Uh, for a moment, there are the like orangish yellow lights of the transporter beam effect starting to lock on to Dirkir, who's a little puzzled by the fact that his bottle of blood wine has started glowing. But then there's an unusual sound to it as the beam loses coherence and Drakir standing back as normal, and he just takes another glug of blood wine. With that failure, I'm spending 2 more points of threat in order to create a complication.
Oh,
How dare you?
not kicking us while we're down.
Yep.
And I have not mentioned Gawk Pockets this entire episode.
Don't mention the Gawk Pockets while we're in the middle of having stuff taken. Stop it. Ugh.
Okay. But yes, Croker, you now
Can we
find
counter the complication with our own momentum?
you could attempt to do so, but that isn't going to fix your immediate task, or the immediate issue there. In any case,
Crocker hits his communicator. Angel Face, I am so sorry. It's not me. I promise it's not me. Something's happened.
never call
the
me
ship.
that. Never call me that again. Figure out what's going on with the transporters, or so help me, when I do make it up to that ship, I will put you onto the pad, dematerialize you, and not bother to reassemble your atoms.
It's so long since we've had any floor play. Let's not do this in front of the crew.
Oh!
I will I will do my best, sweetheart. Crocker out.
Yep. With that, the comm line beeps again. What? Oh, I don't suppose you would like to talk now, would you? What's that? Is it a ship captain, or are you just the first officer? Whoever you are, I think we have something to talk. Who is this? I am Vegtar the Undying, and you're lucky you're not dead yet. And I think that is where we are going to call tonight's session. For all those that were on the recording here, enjoyed the game, and we will be back next week with another episode of Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword. So you folks have a good rest of your day now.